Law enforcement is still trying to get to the bottom of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. But now, the FBI is escalating their investigation, and these new twists and turns have Donald Trump absolutely furious. I'll tell you guys all about the new revelations from the FBI and show you Donald Trump's response. All coming right up. Donald Trump has always claimed that he was shot in the ear at his rally in Pennsylvania. But without releasing any medical records and no press conference or information from the hospital or doctors that treated him, we have to take him at his word. And ever since FBI Director Christopher Wray testified in front of the House that it could have actually been shrapnel that hit Donald Trump's ear, a lot of people are starting to ask questions. And now we're finding out that the FBI is actually escalating their investigation in some unique ways. First, we found out that the FBI is investigating metal fragments that were found near the stage at Trump's rally. The FBI has not concluded whether it was bullet fragments or something else that hit Donald Trump's ear. There is a possibility that a bullet could have hit something on its way towards Donald Trump and metal fragments from that object grazed his ear. According to this New York Times article, it says it's not unusual for the type of bullet that Mr. Crooks fired from his AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle to tumble end over end and break apart after hitting even a small solid object. Gun experts say a fragment might, for instance, have hit a metal stanchion. We also learned that the FBI wants to interview Donald Trump as part of their investigation. The fact that Donald Trump hasn't sat down with them already and told them everything he knows, including showing them any hospital or medical records to back up his claims that he was shot, is quite interesting. And I say that because it's a crime to lie to an FBI agent. Donald Trump can go on TV and post on Truth Social all he wants and tell whatever stories he wants. But when it comes to the investigation, if he lies to an FBI agent and says something that's not true, he could actually be charged with a crime. This leads to a fascinating point in the story of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. When he sits down with that FBI agent, he's going to have to be 100% truthful or he could face charges. So if the story he tells the FBI deviates at all from what he's been saying publicly, then he's going to be outed as a liar. But if he's telling the truth, then he should be able to back up his story with medical records or interviews with individuals at the hospital who treated him. But Donald Trump has been very defensive about this story and refusing to be transparent and release any medical records. So far, he's just been posting angry messages on social media and complaining in interviews about people challenging his version of the story. And his so-called doctor, Ronnie Jackson, a Republican congressman from Texas who has been tending to his wound after he left the hospital and swears he was shot by a bullet, even though he provides no evidence for this as well, has now put out a second letter defending Donald Trump's story. Ronnie Jackson wrote the following in his latest letter. As the former physician to the president for President Donald J. Trump, I have continued to monitor his health and well-being, along with his primary care physician since the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania on the evening of July 13th. The would-be assassin fired multiple rounds from a relatively close distance using a high-powered rifle, with one bullet striking the former president and now the Republican nominee for president in his right ear. I have reviewed President Trump's medical records from Butler Memorial Hospital, where he was initially evaluated and treated for a, quote, gunshot wound to the right ear. So Ronnie Jackson wants us to just believe him that he has reviewed the medical records from the hospital that treated Donald Trump after he was injured at the rally. Why not just release the medical records so we can see for ourselves? That's the big mystery here. Having served as an emergency medicine physician for over 20 years in the United States Navy, including as a combat physician on the battlefield in Iraq, I have treated many gunshot wounds in my career. Based on my direct observation of the injury, my relevant clinical background, and my significant experience evaluating and treating patients with similar wounds, I completely concur with the initial assessment and treatment provided by the doctors and nurses at Butler Memorial Hospital on the day of the shooting. So Ronnie seems to be trying really hard here to prove that he has treated similar wounds, and he concurs with the hospital staff that Donald Trump was shot. Well, why not just let the hospital staff speak for themselves? Either release the medical records or allow the doctors who treated him to do a question and answer with the press. That would seem to alleviate all of the public's concerns instead of having to go through these hoops that Ronnie Jackson appears to be doing right now. During the congressional hearing 2 days ago, FBI Director Christopher Wray suggested that it could be a bullet, shrapnel, or glass. There is absolutely no evidence that it was anything other than a bullet. Congress should correct the record as confirmed by both the hospital and myself. Director Wray is wrong and inappropriate to suggest anything else. So again, Ronnie is saying that the hospital confirmed that it was damage from a bullet, but we do not have the proof of that. We are not going to take the word of some political ally of Donald Trump's who was not his doctor at the hospital. As a former White House physician for 14 years, who served during 3 presidential administrations and served as the appointed physician for both President Obama and President Trump, I fully understand the global significance of this attempt on the life of the former president and the current Republican nominee for president. As such, I want to reassure the American people and the rest of the world that President Trump is doing extremely well. He's rapidly recovering from the gunshot wound to his right ear. I will continue to be available to assist President Trump and his personal physician in any way they see fit, and will provide updates as necessary and with the permission of President Trump. This leads to another question and why people want to see the medical records. It's not to disprove Donald Trump and just prove that he's a liar about being shot and that, oh, he was just hit with a fragment of metal. That fragment of metal, if it hit him, could have killed him as well. It's a concern for other injuries he may have sustained from the injury. He could have received a concussion. He could have incurred brain damage. He could have loss of hearing. Who knows what's going on with him? And I think we, the people, have a right to know because he could be the president of the United States. God forbid. And now some Trump critics are speaking up. Look what A.J. Delgado, a Trump campaign staffer from 2016 and a frequent critic of Donald Trump, has now said on Twitter. Here she is pretending to be Ronnie Jackson in the letter. He was totally, definitely 100% hit by a bullet, and that's why we won't allow access to the actual hospital records or to the actual doctor who treated the actual injury. I think she nailed it right there. It's like I'm saying, why not let the press speak directly to the hospital officials or release those medical records? And here's Dan Goldman, a congressman from New York and a former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. We must see Donald Trump's official medical records. #release the records. So it's not just conspiracy theorists on the internet wondering what actually injured Donald Trump. It could turn out that he was shot, but until he releases the medical records, questions will remain. And now, Donald Trump is getting more and more upset that the public continues to challenge his version of the story. He seems shocked that people will not take him at his word that he was shot by a bullet, even though he provides no evidence to back this up. And now he's fired off this angry post on Truth Social aimed right at his critics. FBI Director Christopher Wray told Congress yesterday that he wasn't sure if I was hit by shrapnel, glass, or a bullet. The FBI never even checked, but he was sure that crooked Joe Biden was physically and cognitively uneventful. Wrong. That's why he knows nothing about the terrorists and other criminals pouring into our country at record levels. His only focus is destroying J6 patriots, raiding Mar-a-Lago, and saving radical left lunatics like the ones now in D.C. burning American flags and spray painting over our great national monuments with zero retribution. No, it was, unfortunately, a bullet that hit my ear and hit it hard. There was no glass. There was no shrapnel. The hospital called it a bullet wound to the ear, and that is what it was. No wonder the once storied FBI has lost the confidence of America. Donald Trump can post whatever he wants on Truth Social, but he seems very defensive about what happened here without providing any evidence to back it up, except take me at my word. But when he sits down with the FBI, he's going to have to be 100% truthful, or he could be charged with a crime. So we'll find out very soon if Donald Trump was actually shot by a bullet. And again, he very well could have been shot. But the lack of transparency, like releasing medical records and just demanding that people take him at his word, definitely raises some red flags. So hopefully the FBI will be able to conclude their investigation soon, and we'll find out exactly what happened at that rally. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. Was Donald Trump actually shot, or was he really hit by some flying debris?